Alrighty, I want to film for you the short version of our math camp we've had all week. So I've got the 4 days, so we're going to cover those pretty quick. So I've got Pythagorean theorem, I've got slope, I've got y-intercept, and then I have something else. Writing equations, oh, and modeling, all tied to equations. So we're going to play with these. So here we go. Alrighty, 8th grade. I wanted to give you a quick review of that math camp we've had this week. So I've got the 4 packets here. You've got Pythagorean theorem, modeling and solving one variable equations, finding slope, finding y-intercept, and how to write a linear equation. So I'm going to film these 4. This is a great study guide for a test that you have coming up. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, so here's a screenshot of my notes. Probably the biggest thing you should look at is right here, your formula. You've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That is on your formula chart. I also wrote my formulas over here. I'm going to scoot this up for you. Yes, I know, it's off screen. So I've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and then you've got leg squared plus leg squared is hypotenuse squared. There's all your words. You got height, leg, a. You got leg, b, base. You got hypotenuse, slant, diagonal. And down here you have my boxes. So you would have a squared would go here, you'd put the answer for a, b would go here, and c would go there. Now a and b can interchange, c cannot. So you put that slant in that box. I don't care what you put over here. One's going to be a number, one could be an x. X could be over here too, by the way, but you get this one in the correct box. These two wouldn't matter. That one does. Alrighty, so let's play it. If you look at this example right here, you got, I put 5 as your height, 12 as your base, and then c I didn't know. And so there's your height, your base, don't know. You're going to set this one to y1, you're going to put this one in y2, and you're going to solve for x. And that is pretty much the whole lesson. Alright, let's do another one. Here's another screenshot of a right triangle. Remember, this is a right triangle and you're solving for length. This won't do area, this won't do perimeter. Now, if you know all 3 numbers, you could find perimeter. And if you know the base and height and you know half is involved, you could find area though. So you've got a squared, b squared, c squared. A would be the first box, b is the second, c is your third box. 6, and if you notice I put 6 and 8, it doesn't matter which one you put it in. And then x is over here. Now here's my 2 cents. You have to put that one in the right place or else it's wrong. So a great idea to remember which one is c. I find the right angle. I look out across the c. Yeah, I know my fish. I'll put a smiley face for you. And find the letter C as in that C. So you look out across the C. By the way, there you are. So great strategies. Next problem. This question had a rectangle, but if you hide half of it, don't you have a triangle? Sure you do. There's half. Let me get it. There you go. There's your triangle. So I have an x here, a 50 here, and that's 60. So couldn't I call this one A, this one's B, and this one's C, because there's a right angle there, and my C is over here with the fish in the C? All good answers. So if you notice, I put 50 squared, x squared, 60 squared. When you type your y1, so y1 should have 50 squared plus x squared, and your y2 should have 60 squared. So let's look at that real quick. I typed that in the y1, y2 for you. By the way, that y1 button's here. I typed that in. My little 2 button is right here. So there it is. And now, here's the deal. 50 times 50 is 2,500. You're going to need some big windows. And 60 times 60 is 3,600. So I'm going to go to the windows, and I'm going to do 10,000. So negative 10,000. And probably the best question is, how many zeros is 10,000? Yeah, 4. So then you need a 1 with 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one should have 1 0 less, so 1, 2, 3. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4. And then positive 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one should have 1 less. I keep a square window. It's just simpler because you see all 4 quadrants. I'm going to push graph and hope I did it right. Alright, so there's my graph. I'm seeing the one line. I'm not seeing the second part. I'm going to hope, since it's such a big graph, I'm not seeing it. So I'm going to go to second trace, 5, 1, 2, 3. I mean, I have nothing to lose to hope it'll process it. There you go. 33.16 is your answer. And if I'd be in play in mode float 2, it'd be simpler. Let's do another. I really like this question 8. It says in figure BC, you know, the support for the roof, the garage, what is the length of BC? I like it a lot because, number 1, look at the answer choices. They're terrible. Look at the picture. That's not a right triangle. There is a right triangle, but there's 2 of them, in fact. Then there's an image that you don't need. You've got extra numbers. So this is a great STAR test question. And who's kidding? It's reality. So if you're going to do the length of one side, by the way, BC is right here if you're still looking, I would suggest that you redraw the triangle, put a right angle in, and BC is missing, and so that's this piece, so I'm going to call that X because I don't know the answer, and that must be why there's answer choices. This little piece down here is 9 because it says this little piece. You're just lucky they didn't say the whole length is 18 and you had to divide by 2. I know, they could have easily. And this number here exists because I already have 1 missing. I can't have 2. By the way, 12 also fits on that side. So then how do you type that in the calculator again? What was my formula? So on the screen you've got my formula. X squared plus 9 squared equals 12 squared. Alrighty, so I want to type that in, and I'm in y1, so I'm going to do x squared plus 9 squared, and then I'm going to have it equal, let's go back and look, 12 squared. Now, reminding, those little 2's and 9 times 2 are not the same. So you got x squared plus 9 squared equals 12 squared. Now, I've already changed my windows to -200 because 10's not going to work. And if you think about it, 12 times 12 is 144. You need more than 144, and I just went to 200. If I push graph, there's your parabola. There's your straight line. It's a constant. And then I'm going to go second trace, push 5. I'm going to push enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And I get the answer 7.93. And that's a great answer. It's even the right answer. 7.93. It's awesome. I don't have an answer choice. What the heck? Does 7.93 look like 15? No. By the way, let me talk about 15. If 12 is the largest number, by the way, it is, because of these 3, C is the largest. If this is 12, how can that be 15? That's a great question. That is really wrong. 6 would be a great answer. It would work, but it needs to be 7.93, so that one's wrong. What about these two weird ones? I don't know. How about you go to the home screen? So you got the square root of 180. It's 1341. Yep, I should have closed the door. 1341. And how about the next one? Square root 65, and this time I closed the door. 8.06. Is that 8? Where's my error? You're right. Was it 65 or 63? It was 63. Do that again. Square root 63. Close the door. We'll try again. 7.93. Perfect. The answer is J. You'll have to ignore my cold. I think I'm catching a cold. So I've got the homework paper. I want to go through these really quick, like real quick, and mark the A and B. So if you know where A and B are, I would think you could find C. So there's A and B. Why? It's attached to the right angle. What about over here? Well, this one's A and this one's B. It's attached to the right angle. What about that one? There isn't one. Dude, you got to draw the picture. And you got a building and a ladder. Building. Draw some windows. Maybe a door. Ladder. And then it says something about the base of the ladder 6 feet from the building. I think the word base would represent the bottom. And then it says the top of the ladder rests on the building 8 feet above. So that would make this 8. And this is I don't know. And they just want the length of the ladder. And feet. Make sure feet and inches are playing nice. Otherwise you look silly later when you do it in inches and they're playing feet. Next question. What about that one? You've got legs and hypotenuse. Which ones are legs? Leg, leg, hypotenuse. 4 is a length, hypotenuse is 4.1, and this is x. There's all your numbers. All you do is put them in the boxes. So it's 4 squared plus x squared equals 4.1 squared. All of this goes where? Yep, y1. And all of, do I need the 2? I do need the 2. All of that goes in y2. Second trace, off you go. So that's pretty much Pythagorean theorem. Be mindful. Sometimes they ask you to do perimeters. Sometimes they say do area. Those aren't the same words. Be careful. Thank you. All right, here's modeling and solving one variable equations. So, I'm kind of looking at them. You've got pictures, you've got battleship, if you want to draw the little ships off, and you got a big ship attacking, well, whatever, those fun games. And so, that's all fun and dandy, but I'm just headed to the calculator. I'm going to put the left in y1 and the right in y2, and I'm going to solve it. And by the way, that's the whole packet. So let me show you how I type that in. So you notice I've got it highlighted. There's a reason for highlighters. They're definitely not for coloring. So I'm going to type in 4b, and I can't type in a B. And for those of you that do, that's great. But do you have a B axis? You might want to be X. So how about 4X minus 3? And that's in Y1. And then how about negative? And by the way, negative 2X plus 6. I've had lots of questions about, is that a negative or a subtract sign? If it's in front of the number alone, nothing in front of it except this negative thing, so that has to be a negative because subtract signs don't sit in front of numbers by themselves. That's a subtract sign because it's between two numbers. Lots of times the negatives are smaller and they're higher, but if you notice that one looks identical to that one. That's a negative because it's in front of a number alone, and that's a subtract because it's trapped between two numbers. If you get those backwards, they'll be wrong. Because if you look at my screen, you can definitely see that's a subtract and that's a negative. Now, when Windows was 200, that's crazy. Now, if you want to reset these windows pretty quick, if you go to Zoom Standard, which is 6, I'm going to go back to Windows. It reset it to 10s. So back to my graph. If you notice, you got an X marks the spot. I can tell you right there is the answer, whatever that is. So then second trace, 5, 1, 2, 3s, 1.5. There's your answer. Whole packet plays like that. So let's look at some answer choices. Let's go to some questions. Look at that one. Question 1. You know, and we played with this one in class a lot. The debate was 4 W's. Well, how many W's do you see? 4. How many do you see there? 3. Well, that's not 4. That one must be wrong. There are 3 W's there. Wrong. There's 4 W's there. Whoops, off screen. That one's good. So you get 2 out, 2 in. Then it says 3. That's positive 3. That's positive 3. I need negative 3W on the other side. That's negative 3W. So is that one. Keep going. Positive 6. Nope. Yep. D. Simple enough. When you're playing with these, you know, if you're trying to write them, but don't forget, it was written for you. So 4 X's, 1X, 6 negatives. And that is, you can type that in, 4X, and that's X minus 6. That's a subtract sign because it's between two items, an X and a 6. But that is negative 6. We won't, that's another conversation. They are both correct. You type them in Y1, Y2, and you get an answer. So, what would Y1 look like? Y1 is going to look like 4X. What does Y2 look like? It better look like X subtract sign 6. And then you're going to do second trace, 5, 3 enters later, and it's going to say X equals, and it's going to say Y equals. And which one's the answer? What letter did you use? X. All pretty easy stuff. I'm looking at different examples. There's another one. I thought this one was a great question, question 5, because a whole bunch of people got it wrong. You know, you've got the equation. C was the popular answer, and I'm going to scoot down. But if you notice, the equation was 4x minus 5 equals 2x. 4x is positive, 2x is positive, and those are negative. So even though it matches, those are positive and those are 2, and that's backwards. C was wrong. Choice D, on the other hand, they're just backwards. There's your 4x's, there's your 5 negatives, there's your 2x's. They can switch these sides around. They're equal. You know, which seesaw, because I tell my kids, it's like a seesaw. A balanced seesaw. So which seat do you get on? The one that's empty? Yeah, I don't think you're going to push anybody out of the way. All right, this packet was pretty quick, I thought. Those were models. What about these? What about those kind of questions? Well, type all of that in Y1 and put all of that in Y2. I would probably not play with the parentheses because if you do them wrong, you'll get them wrong. Remember, it would, if you did parentheses, it would look like this. And reminder, there's one with negatives on it. Which one was it? 14. This answer is not the same answer as that. Those are not equal. This one's right, by the way. That one's wrong. Probably better off leave those parentheses alone in Y1, Y2, and you wouldn't have that mistake anyway. So just be careful. All right. Great job. We'll see you at the next video.